Hi, boys and girls. For language arts, I'm going to read Animals in Winter by Henrietta Bancroft and Richard G. Van Gelder, illustrated by Helen Davey. So we've been talking about bears and other animals that hibernate, and we're going to talk about places animals hibernate, underground or above ground. We'll do this paper together after I read my story. Animals in winter. The days grow short, the nights grow long. It's getting colder. Winter is coming. And we know winter is here. Leaves have fallen from the trees. There are no berries on the bushes. Insects are gone, and the grass is dead and brown. Birds and other animals are getting ready for winter. Some of the birds will fly south. That's called migrating. Bluebirds and orioles go towards the south, where it's warmer. They go where it is warm and sunny and where there is lots of food for them to eat. When spring comes, the birds will make the long journey, vocab word, back north. They migrate. Did you know that butterflies, some of them migrate too? That's what monarch butterflies do. They gather in a tree by the hundreds before the weather comes. They stay in the tree all night, and in the morning, they fly towards their winter homes in the south. Many bats also fly south, but some stay in the north all winter. And when the weather gets cold, they go to a cave. There is no wind or snow in the cave, and they sleep there all winter huddled together. They do not eat. They live on the fat stored inside of them. They do not move. They hardly breathe. They sleep in a very deep sleep. They hibernate. So bats hibernate. Remember that, in the cave. Woodchucks hibernate too. When fall comes, a woodchuck eats grass. It eats and eats twigs, leaves. He grows really big and fat. When it gets cold, the woodchuck crawls into his long tunnel and goes to sleep. Entrance, sleeping chamber, toilet chamber, and a mound, a sun porch, or a watchtower. So the tunnel drops and narrows to keep out the enemies on this side. Oh, that's the main entrance. That's his secret entrance, it says. Does he sleep for a day? Longer than that. Does he sleep for a week? Longer than that. A month? Even longer. A woodchuck can sleep for 4 months. December, January, February, and March. Look at him, still snoozing away. This woodchuck seems hardly alive. He breathes very slow. His heart beats slowly too. He sleeps and sleeps. He is hibernating. Some animals do not have to hibernate, and they gather food and they save it for winter. That is what a pika does. This little animal looks like a rabbit with round ears. They live in high mountains where the winters are long and cold. They eat grass, and in summer they cut more grass than they can eat. They spread the grass on flat stones and they dry it. Very smart. But by the end of summer, they have gathered close to 50 pounds of grass, hides it under their rocks, and in winter eats the dry grass, and it keeps her alive. So she may burrow a little bit, but it's eating all that grass that she has saved. Squirrels also gather food and save it for winter. They dig holes all over in the ground. They bury their nuts and acorns to find them. When winter comes, they dig them up and they eat them. Sometimes they forget where they bury the nuts. Trees may grow from the nuts that these squirrels forget about. Some animals do not get ready for winter at all. They do not store food. They do not hibernate. They do not migrate. They must hunt for winter all the whole time. There are mice that must hunt all winter for seeds of goldenrod and other wild plants. Sometimes they eat farmers, corn, oats, and wheat. Mice. Deer must dig in the snow for dried leaves, plants, and moss. When the snow is deep, they eat the twigs, buds, and bark off trees. So they adapt. They don't migrate and they don't hibernate. They stay through the winter. The rabbit must hunt under the snow for bites of grass and plants. When the snow is deep, he too eats the buds and bark off bushes so he can stay alive. So he needs to find what he can, even in the harshest winters. In the winter, the fox hunts for mice and rabbits. He has discovered a mouse in its tunnel beneath the snow. He hears him, listening closely. When the winter is cold and the snow is deep, many animals cannot find food. Here are some ways you can help them in winter. And it shows just like kneeling an old sunflower bead to a post or a fence, a seed tray, pick an apple and leave that out on a tree branch. Make sure your bird feeders are placed out of reach of predators like bears. Put them really high up. Squirrels can also try to get to those bird feeders too. You could put a birdhouse in a tree, hang an ear of corn, plant shrubs. Please remember, once you begin feeding birds and other animals, you must continue. They do depend on food for supply. So we made a peanut butter, one of the ones they say, a peanut butter seed bird feeder for the birds, and hung it. It was just on a pine cone covered in peanut butter and birdseed, and hung it like a little garland out on the tree so that the birds could come, and they keep coming. So it's important to think of other ways you can help the animals adapt in winter. But today we're going to talk about animals that hibernate, and I put up some picture cards behind me, places that they hibernate. Mud and a nest. We're not going to talk about those ones just yet, but first we're going to focus on burrow, den, hole, and cave. So on your paper, you're going to cut out those 4 words to label those places that they hibernate. And who in your picture here is hibernating in the cave? You can see the picture of the bats hanging. Here's my picture. They're upside down. I'm going to put them right under the cave. That's the word cave. The bear is hibernating in what? Do we remember what that's called? The den. Yes, the bears hibernate in a den. So I'm going to match that one up. A hole. That's where the snake goes, in a hole underground. And the groundhog was the burrow, right over here. So those 4 are also shown on your paper here, which I will do with you real quick. Turn my camera. So what you need to do is cut out the words on the bottom. And I would just cut across. Lay your paper flat. It says places animals hibernate. Label and color the places animals hibernate. So use your word boxes. Just cutting them now. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, we're going to glue 4 words down. And then we're going to color it in. So the cave was where the bats are in the cave. The groundhog in the burrow. The snake in his hole. Underground also. And the bear above ground in a den though. So you're going to glue those and then color in your picture. And I can't wait to see how these turn out at morning meeting. All right, talk to you soon, boys and girls. Good work.